Good Friday, folks. Coach Glenn here. We are going to talk today about hydration and why it's critical for your good health to drink water. I've got a glass container here, folks. It's not green water, but sometimes I do drink green water because I do drink greens and chlorophyll. So, all right. Now, I'm not sure why every Friday I seem to be having internet issues. I can see there's a glitch and a lag in my video feed. So hopefully you guys can hear me clearly, folks. I'm not sure what else to do here to get better internet on Fridays, or it seems to be a recurring Friday theme. So I apologize in advance for that. All right. So the reason why it's critically important for you to focus on mainly drinking water, your body is 2/3 or more comprised of mostly water. And it's very, very important that you are sipping water constantly. Obviously, if you're in a hot or a drier climate, or even a humid climate, you're sweating more. You've got to be drinking as much as you possibly can. I know a good friend of mine in Texas would often say that he has 1 or 2 mouthfuls of water every 20 minutes just to keep himself hydrated throughout the day. So the old adage that you need 8 glasses a day or drink half your body weight in ounces, they were not founded on science, folks. In fact, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the guy that got on stage like 40 years ago or so that said 8 glasses a day we should be drinking, he admitted after his presentation that he just made that number up. There was no real reason why he chose 8. It just came out of his mouth. It was 8 glasses a day. So there's really no rhyme or reason to that. There's no scientific basis behind that. I learned many, many years ago from Dr. Lee Coyne, very good nutritionist, very intelligent guy, that there's 2 things you should focus on when it comes to your hydration. And the first one is your thirst mechanism. You want to be focused on if you're feeling thirsty, you've already got dry mouth, you're already dehydrated. That's number one. And number 2 is, well, I guess there's 3 if we want to go a little bit deeper. Number 2 would be your climate and your environment. So if you live in an area where it's quite dry, like I know here in the winter, it's very, very dry at times. And you might need to be drinking a little bit more during certain weeks of the year, depending on the climate or the environment that you're in. And the third, and I think this is critical because everyone can do this, whether you're 33, or whether you're 93, you can follow this next one. It's the color and smell of your urine. So obviously, when you get up in the morning after sleeping for 7, 8, 9 hours, obviously your urine is going to be darker yellow and it's not going to smell very fresh. And then as you drink throughout the day, the goal is to have it as clear as possible, and it shouldn't have a foul smell to it near the end of your day. But here's the thing, you don't want to be drinking a ton of water right before bed, because then you're going to have to get up and probably pee once or twice or 3 times during the night, which disrupts your sleep. And it can, over time, when you have interrupted sleep, it's just very, very poor for your health over time. So focus on your thirst mechanism, and you want to be ahead of it. Second, obviously related to your climate and where you live in the environment that you're in. And then I think the most critical, because everyone can do this because we all pee several times a day, and you can gauge every time you go to the bathroom, if it's darker yellow and doesn't smell good, you're dehydrated and you got to be drinking more. So it's lighter yellow or clear and there's not much of a smell to it. The 4 accepted types of beverages that can keep you hydrated: water, carbonated mineral water, tea, and coffee. Obviously, there's times where you're going to have other beverages as well. Like I mix ketones often into my water because I like the feeling of being in nutritional ketosis or in ketosis. And obviously, I know it's temporary, folks, but for me, it makes a huge difference. And often there's times where you're out at a social function, Christmas, birthdays, whatever, and you might have the odd other beverage. And that's okay too, because it's not something you should be doing every day. So water, carbonated mineral water, tea, and coffee. And folks, coffee does not dehydrate you. That is an absolute myth. So, by drinking more cups of coffee, and by the way, you should have 3 or less a day, and I'll explain this in a second, but it's a myth that coffee dehydrates you. It doesn't mean you have to drink more water just because you have more coffee. But the reason why you should only have 3 cups of coffee or less a day is because coffee has an 8-hour half-life. And believe it or not, not coffee, caffeine, has an 8-hour half-life, not coffee. So say if you get up 6 in the morning, you've got your coffee by 7. Well, the average cup of coffee has about 60 milligrams of caffeine. So say if you have your first coffee at 7 a.m., and then your next coffee at 11 a.m., and then your next coffee at 3 a.m. to help get you through the day without feeling groggy or sleepy. Well, you add that up. By the time you have your third cup of coffee, you're now at 150 milligrams in your bloodstream. And it takes a while for that to dissipate over the course of the day. And I know that some people say, oh, well, I can drink coffee and go right to bed or have a nap. And one thing I will say, and maybe you are in an absolute anomaly and maybe that works for you, but what typically happens when you've got caffeine in your system, especially late at night, is it doesn't allow you to get into through your 4 stages, that deep REM sleep. It doesn't allow you to get into those deep sound sleeps that really are restorative for your body. So even though you might think, oh, well, I can drink a cup right now and go right to bed, unfortunately, it isn't that simple biologically. There's a lot going on that we aren't typically aware of. And so typically, if you are if you're not waking up fully rested, it could be maybe you've had too much caffeine later in the day. Or maybe when you chose to have your caffeine, it was just a little bit later in the day and your body didn't get a chance to go through and flush it out. So typically for me, I know I've tested it over the years, and I try and have my caffeinated beverages before noon. Because, for instance, say if I do have a cup of coffee at noon, well, now by 8 a.m., it's the 60 milligrams in that coffee. Now at 8 p.m., it's 30 milligrams because it's an 8-hour half-life. Well, I want to make sure that by the time I go to bed at 11 or 12, whatever that is, that it's even less in my body, because I want to make sure that I'm getting a full restorative deep sleep. So hopefully, folks, that helps. Coffee is not bad for you. It does not dehydrate you. Yes, it is a little bit acidic. So you want to make sure that you're having 3 or less cups a day. And you're making sure that you're obviously eating some foods that have more alkalinity that can balance that out, because that can also be a negative side effect of drinking too much coffee. It can lead to causing you to be more acidic. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some valid reasons as to why it's critically important for you to be refueling with water for most of the time you're drinking. I often will end my night with a warm cup of tea, just because late at night when you're getting tired, I like that feeling of a warm beverage, and it helps soothe me, relaxes me. And again, tea is mostly water, and obviously I'm having nothing caffeinated in my tea bag. So, but you've got to figure out what works best for you. I'm just here to share information to help you along your health journey. And if anything I discussed today you found helpful, please comment below. I'm more than happy to talk about topics and that you would like as well. So if you do have a question and I can answer it live next Friday at noon, please send me a message or type it in the comments below. But other than that, folks, I look forward to speaking with you every Friday at noon, where I will give you some pertinent health information that hopefully you can implement into your daily routine and help move the needle with your health goals. So that is it. That is all. I would love to connect with some of you as well. So if you have any questions about how you can improve what you're doing, get some better results, whether it's with nutrition, whether it's with sleep, stress management, exercise, anything along those lines to help move your health in a better direction, click on the link below, book a 30-minute, no strings attached call with me, and we can go through and figure out where you're currently at, develop a plan to help you get where you want to go and move you forward. Have a great rest of your week, folks. Coach Glenn out, and we'll talk to you again next week. Drink more water. Take care.